Let's keep
Uh,
it straightforward here.
yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
that is what we are promising you. So hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's podcast. Today we have an impromptu, should I say, Aryan? Impromptu episode
Sure.
on the latest experimental piece of work by director R. Balki, who's made Chup, which is being, I don't know, what's the box office been like, Aryan, for the film? Do you know or no?
I think it's been average, not
Okay,
very bad, not too good.
okay. But it's
Basically,
been kind of a
like
hit
yeah,
amongst cinephiles, right? I think a lot of people
not
have
among
sort of.
cinephiles, but
Okay,
among the general audience, I feel not a lot of people love it,
okay,
but not a lot of critics love it. Let me rephrase, but a lot of
okay,
general audience seem to love it, which
okay.
like totally sits in with the theme of the
As in, like,
movie. Because
general audiences want to kill critics also.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. I mean, looking at some of the messages I often get, I guess yeah, that'll add up. No kidding, kidding.
Fair
I
enough.
don't get messages. I direct get letters written to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
go on. Let's. Hmm.
You so I know then why the reason why Aryan and other people who I know have liked the film, right? I know why they are refraining from actually giving their true opinions on the film because they're scared. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Anyways, today the reason I think this episode is fun to discuss is because we have divergent opinions on this film, and I'm outside of India, so I don't need to fear. I think till now my fate if I criticize this film, people won't be sent, and if they will be, then I must be where I guess, but I don't know how to sort of protect myself from that. But anyways, it's interesting. I think the film itself is interesting just because of the topic. Like for discussion, it is because it's about film criticism in one sense, and
Hmm.
about how sort of it leads to sort of like it branches out to other things and how it affects the
Hmm.
filmmaker, how it affects the audience, how it affects the film itself, and like the basic sort of premise of it is a very much it's not a who done it, right? It's like a why
Yeah,
done it.
it's like a wide
It's
yeah.
yeah, so it's basically like a killer is on the loose and he's sort of killing prominent Indian film critics in Mumbai, whoever gives a quote unquote, and we will get to this later, unethical reviews to films. The whole film is basically a sort of parallel narrative. It's about this investigation on how to on the Sunny Deol and Pooja Bhatt's character sort of going behind this Dalkir Salman's character, who I think I've not seen the trailer, but is he the killer in the trailer also? Like, is he revealed to be the killer?
I have no idea. I though went into this movie like overnight. I planned on watching
Okay.
it, and so as some people might know that this film actually had an audience screening rather than a special
Yeah,
critic
I
screening
remember. Yes,
because
yes, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
so someone texted me, a
Mm,
father of mine texted me. I've talked to him before, but never so in depth about a film. And he texted
mm,
me. He's called he's Sanju Shibu. Shout out to him.
mm,
So he's a writer and based in Mumbai, and he texted me saying that, oh, I have seen you write about films, and you should definitely go watch this film called Chup.
mm,
And I asked him, "Ki, where is it available? When is
mm.
it?" I don't think this film has released yet. How did you get to watch it?
Yeah.
And I was expecting some accessible answer, but he actually told me that this film actually had an audience
Audience
screening,
screening.
and people were asked to watch it and make their opinions on it first before the critics actually get to watch it. And he told
Mm,
me that how he loved it, and I should definitely
mm.
go watch it if I am a fan of Guru Dutt, which I am massive.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Guru Dutt fan. So I watched it on the first day, and it happened to be the National Cinema
You
Day.
went to the Acha, you went okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no, I was about to ask that you
So
went to a normal screening, right? Like a
yeah, yeah,
theatrical screening. You paid money to watch it. But
yeah,
National Cinema
yeah.
Day
I
means
paid.
it was discounted money, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was discounted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe I was already in a good mood, and I knew the plot seemed so intriguing. Otherwise, I almost always even refrain from reading the entire plots of
Hmm.
a film that I'm about to watch. And I went in and I was so intrigued. And the movie started, and I was already invested. The way it looked,
Hmm.
it, the texture of it, right? It
Hmm.
almost felt like the setting felt very seven-esque in a way. I mean, the staging of the dead body and all, it felt intriguing.
I
And
wish
then
we do a video podcast someday, honestly.
Yeah. So I felt there was a nice it was nicely lit and you couldn't see everything, so there's
Yeah,
some suspense over there, and you
yeah,
expect it to be a I was expecting it to be a whodunit thriller,
yeah.
but then you cut to this florist named played by this played by the
Turkish
lead
Salman. Yeah,
Turkish man, who is named Danny. Yeah,
Danny.
he's
Yeah.
named Danny, and then he bumps into this girl who comes to buy flowers at his shop. And I was so off put by the film for
Hmm.
a few minutes because
Hmm.
you see characters thinking out loud their own thoughts, and I was like, "Whoa,
No,
wait, a
but
what?"
so yeah, I was about to ask you like the beginning is basically so initial before we delve into all specifics, actually we'll just do initial thoughts, then we'll jump straight
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
wherever Aryan is to discuss all spoilers and all, right? So
Mhm.
Aryan, do you recommend this film? Like I'm basically
I
gonna go like
recommend it to yeah.
yes, so he
I recommend
recommended
it to people, especially once it comes out on the OTT or
yeah.
any place.
Yeah, so I think it's rubbish. So I don't recommend it. So so that's basically our initial sort of reception. And I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly I'm tempted to clip this and send it to like
Mm.
the makers just to annoy
Mm.
them. But
Yeah.
the point is we'll get into the in-depth stuff here.
With
Spoilers.
flowers in a box,
Yes, in
so
a
that
yes,
so
exactly.
then they can send you back the reel of the film instead of
Of
the
course,
flowers
yes.
inside. Yeah.
That's the other reason you liked it, right? Because it had all the nostalgic film,
Metaphors. Yeah.
film and like reels and whatever. Anyways,
Yeah.
point being that our I just wanted to clear up our non-spoiler thoughts that way, just so that now we can like
Mm.
delve right into sort of whatever you're going for, which is the people talking out their thoughts right
Mm.
in the beginning. Yes. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the movie sets up those characters, those little traits and nuances, and I was like it felt very off kilter, and I was very off put. But then soon they reveal that
Yeah.
she is wearing her earphones, and it's
AirPods.
actually yeah
Yeah.
AirPods whatever. And then we get a sense, oh, he has like some kind of a personality disorder, and
Ah.
he's the you obviously knew, but
Yeah.
then you're almost sure that
Yeah.
oh he's the killer, he's the one who's going out killing critics, but why?
Yeah.
And then I really liked the first half of the movie
Yeah.
a lot, to be
Hmm.
very honest. And the moment the second half starts after the interval, I think it also has a very nice interval point. I don't remember exactly the frame, but I remember
Hmm.
feeling, oh wow.
It's the kill.
And
It's the mystery kill. No, like the artist killer. Like where he
hmm.
draws. He basically
Oh
kills
yeah,
someone
right,
in a
right, right,
way
right.
where artwork is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
because
resembles a painting,
it's
yeah, whatever.
also the point where it's like revealed that he doesn't kill according to like he doesn't kill
Yeah,
only
yeah.
negative review critics.
Those
He the
those who trash it.
ethical who aren't ethical. He kills those, right? Sorry, I sound like a pompous idiot, but I mean that's how the movie sounds to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it.
Oh,
So I like the interval slate also when it
yeah.
comes in, and I like the movie till that point a lot, quite
Mm,
actually. But then the moment the movie introduces Pooja Bedi's character of the psychologist, I'm like,
mm,
okay, this is a completely different movie now because the first half it seemed it was good at its world building. That's what it
mm,
seemed, right? Because
mm,
there were, I think, Shayad, it might not be intentional, but they used two very similar establishing shots for setting Mumbai as a. They use there's some poster and film statue
mm.
or whatever, and they cut back to him eating that vada like pav and burji, and from two
Okay.
plates, obviously. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, 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 yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so the scene, the establishing shot before that, it's like we see it twice in the movie in the first half itself, and it's like,
Okay.
but I like the world building. I like what it was going at because
Mm,
you almost get a palpable sense of the. That's what I said, the texture, because it is
mm.
going for those 80s, 90s, not even 80s, 90s. It's going for those
Before.
50s Bollywood,
Mm,
yeah, 50s Bollywood type,
yeah.
and even the love songs and even the romance in the film is like obviously inspired from those films. The use of
Mm.
flowers to show
I mean,
intimacy, and
inspired.
for
It
other,
is those films. I
yeah,
like. I mean, we'll get to.
yeah,
I'm. Yeah. Go ahead. No, no, say.
mm.
I'm not going
But
to
that's a nice
interrupt
point. Yeah,
the flow.
I get
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wish Pooja Bedi's character said the same, that she wouldn't interrupt the flow. But she came into the film, and I was like, why is, and there's those comedic bits where Sunny Deol is like tucking in his uh, belly, and I'm like, what is this movie? Did I come to a different film after the interval? But then at the entire second half, I was like, oh my god, they're jumping off the window and all. Like, what's
Oh yeah,
the
I was like,
spatial?
what is that? Like, what is that? Like,
Exactly.
if you throw someone off there, don't they die? I'm like, is there
And I'm
something to
like,
like throw over, like underneath?
but
There's
कुछ
something to protect her.
establishing shot एक दे देते बस, and
Hmm.
they do it later when Sunny Deol jumps.
After everyone's jumped off, they give an establishing shot.
I'm like, नहीं दिखाना था, इससे अच्छा तो सस्पेंस रहने देते. It's like, how does this make sense? And you obviously see Sunny Deol's character breaking out of his character and going back to his 90s, all the 90s
Yeah,
character.
yeah. Very
He
weird that
shouts
one
like,
was.
oh,
Yeah, yeah,
bastard. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
like, chalo, the second half is like all over the place, because
Hmm.
it seemed like I genuinely think that I would have liked the movie more, and hopefully you would have liked the movie somewhat if it had just committed to the second half wala pulpy feel, right?
Yeah,
I genuinely think it would have worked better if
yeah.
it had like fully dedicated to that, but it felt too serious in its first half, which I loved again,
Hmm.
because all of its themes again, I think that they are very important, and not this important, I just found it intriguing.
Hmm.
And then the second half, I was like, okay, never mind, let's just watch it and watch it. And then the ending happened, which I quite honestly I loved. I
Okay.
mean, obviously the
Ending.
last
So
shot
where does the
was to
ending begin for you? Like, what are you
the
talking about?
entire the
The,
entire part where he takes her to Mehboob studio basically,
where
and
they recreate the
whatever.
slanted light and all that
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Kagaz Ki
And
Puri.
I just,
Hmm.
yeah, and even I don't even know how to articulate these little things that the film did. You
Hmm.
talked about how it constantly relied on and kept relying on this and on the
Yeah.
musical cues from Gurudat's two films,
Yeah.
basically from his two late films,
Yeah.
Pyasa and Kagas Ke Phool being his last film, the latter one,
Hmm.
of course. But I think they did some really good thing, some really interesting, smart move by
Hmm.
using that some of those cues, because hmm, he's interrogating her and he's obviously planning to kill her, and the
Yeah.
way he sings along the song,
The way
right?
they
I
use the
think that
lyrics,
was,
you mean, right?
yeah, the way they use the lyrics and
They
flipping
sort
the
of
entire
twisted
context.
the
Yeah,
meaning into like
yeah,
from romantic to being very sort of
yeah. So
cruel almost. Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from that point on, the entire thing kind of loved, and
Okay.
especially when they cut back to the actual film being shown and all,
Hmm.
I knew it was very rushed,
Hmm.
extremely rushed, and felt very out of the place even.
Hmm.
But the movie almost had me at the melodramatic feel it was going at
Hmm.
when they were showing the actual film that he made,
Hmm.
because it's played too carefully, I feel. And then the ending shot again in the jail cell, I think it's again very abruptly cut. It very abruptly cuts to the last scene.
Telku. Hmm.
And again, spoilers obviously, but
Hmm.
is it implied? Is this is what I understood from the last shot, where
Yeah.
not the last shot, but from the
Hmm.
last scene where he looks at the paper and he sees that ex-critic dies of COVID-19. I'm guessing it might be the same critic who bashed onto his actual film 10 years back.
Was
Is
it?
that what?
I think it was
I
just
mean,
the. I think it was just that he still has like this affliction of.
ominous presence over.
Yeah, like he. Yeah, it's not like he's cured because he's put into jail, which
No,
makes.
but it's implied that it was an old critic, and I guess that
Hmm.
it was the critic who might have been the main one to bash onto his film that was released 10 years back, and that's why, by the way,
Hmm.
spoilers.
Maybe.
That's why, yeah, that's what I got
Okay.
took away from.
I
Yeah.
thought didn't. I mean, I'm. It's weird to say anything. So see, the thing is, firstly, I would like a very honest sort of. I think it's good to preface the fact that I'm not generally into R.
Mm.
Balki's work. In any case,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fairly cold on his films.
Mm.
I think what we were discussing about execution and concepts and how concepts never you have to execute those concepts, right?
Mm.
Half most
Yeah.
of his films kind of are concepts to me, and they never get executed in a way which is satisfactory.
Mm.
This I think is one of the worst examples of it. I think just because Um, Firstly, I'm not a fan. He has a knack of cutting so
Hmm.
insistently that I honestly find him, all the drama of the film automatically within a scene gets diluted for me,
Exactly. Hmm.
which is a big problem, especially when you're saying that he's recreating the 50s and all that, and the 50s and whatever,
Hmm.
like they had just, it's a matter of principle that films at that time tended to be more dramatic. They wanted to hold on to a shot. They wanted to sort of create a mood in that sense. And the
Hmm.
best sections of the film, as you said, and they are in the first half, I think too,
Hmm.
are, I think, the romance bits between the two of them,
Hmm.
between Dalke Salman and Shreya
Hmm.
Dhanvantri, I think, yeah,
Hmm.
between those two characters. And so it's a double-edged sword, right? So on the one hand, that romance track is great because of the songs tuned from Guru Dutt films, which I think in
Hmm.
any case is like, I'm not praising this film. Like
Hmm.
about 70% of the praise then goes to the Guru Dutt films, because it's
Exactly.
basically
Yeah.
quoting the soundtrack from that literally
Hmm.
sometimes, and sometimes it's doing
Exactly.
it
Hmm.
instrumentally, which I would give credit to this film for. I like the instrumental versions, and I thought
Hmm.
the way he incorporated it in some scenes was also very good. As you said, the color palette, and you have like slow
Hmm.
motion shots of them sort of him thinking about that, she's thinking about him, and then her sort of whatever filmy love for him and whatever. Like their back and forth is charming to a certain point,
Hmm.
I think. But the weird thing with their romance is also, as soon as the music dies down, there's the the music has the ability to make fairly bad dialogue sometimes sound poetic.
Hmm.
And when the poeticism of that dialogue goes away, I was like, this
Hmm.
sounds very awkward. Like some of
Yeah.
the interactions just seem, very like, see,
Off
I
critter. Yeah.
don't
As I
I
said
know I
that.
don't want to get the
Yeah.
real world into this whole thing, but the film is very much based in the real world, or it bases
Hmm.
itself in some sense of a real world, because it lectures us quite a bit, which I will get to,
Yeah.
and I'm
Hmm.
annoyed about, very annoyed
Hmm.
about.
Hmm.
But no, so that awkwardness never left me, and I think I noted sort of one particular instance, right, where I was like, there is something called over dramatization, like that. Often people say that films from before, melodrama films sometimes, are over dramatized. They have more expressions and all that. There's
Hmm.
over dramatization, and there's bad dramatization. I think this
Hmm.
tips over into that a fair bit. So
Hmm.
there was one moment in the beginning where Shreya Dhanvantri's character is coming, like she's running to the funeral of one of the critics. She is tired clearly, and she's like,
Yeah.
and the other critics there are like, "Oh, why don't you take a breath or like whatever, like because you seem very tired." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Okay, like that's a normal, very basic incident."
Hmm.
And then she stops. She does
Hmm.
a like she breathes, and then it's a very small moment, but I watched it and I was like, this is like there's that awkwardness that comes from just that amount of I got
Hmm.
the fact that she's tired from 2 3 instances, but you were
Hmm.
there to literally make her do that sigh, to just show it
Hmm.
also. And the whole film
Exactly. Yeah.
is very annoying in how it treats the
Hmm.
audience, like that, to be honest. It's very, like, I think it sees the audience and the critics as fairly dumb.
Dubbing down. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
And this is all there throughout the interactions. The police inspector interactions, I thought, were very, even in the first half, or to me, struck as extremely awkward.
Yeah.
They're going, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they're going for dark comedy in some instances, with the the sub constable who's with him, who's making these jokes
Hmm.
about,
Oh, that it's very that I was very annoyed with that character,
so I
and
so
it's almost like from
Sunny
two
Deol is,
instances, it's like he's trying so hard to get exposition out of Sunny Deol's character, and he's like killer की तरह सोचना है तो
I was
psychopath
like,
की तरह सोचना है तो psychopath की तरह.
and
Yeah,
so
those
I
parts. Yeah.
hope, so my hope is that people don't say that this is old school, because old school isn't, like,
Hmm.
old school doesn't mean an excuse to make dialogue seem artificial or bad. you know if you see
Definitely. Yeah.
Kagas Ke Phool, or if you see Pyasa, for that, I mean, mentioning these I am mentioning these names
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
the film is littered with this reverence for
Hmm.
Guru Dutt.
Hmm.
So in
Mm.
quality, I would never mention these
Yeah.
films with this
Yeah.
film, to be very honest.
Mm.
Uh, but you see those films, the drama might be over dramatized sometimes, like the expressions might be, but it's never
It's always
fake.
in context.
It doesn't feel cheap, like it doesn't
Mm.
feel awkward. And here that
Mm.
awkwardness I personally was never able to I was not able to shake off in the beginning section also, like except for, again, as soon as the music plays, I'm like, oh, thank god, because I'm like, I can believe the scene now, I can believe what
Mm.
is happening on the thing. And I think also his cutting, or the way the film cuts at that moment, is much more relaxed, and I feel much more at pace with him. I think Dalkir Salman is pretty good for a long portion of the film. I think he's even Shreya Dhanvantri is very good. I think they are doing the
I
best they
think
can
she's
with.
better. She
I
is
think that
better in
they're
this.
doing the best with, I think, some pretty hokey dialogue sometimes.
Yeah.
Sunny Deol is fine. I thought, like, he seemed like a bit like almost too reserved, which is a weird thing to say until you said he goes into 90s mode.
Yeah.
Uh, and but then he's supposed to be balanced out by the dude, by the comic relief dude, who I was like very
Mm.
annoyed by. I was like, what is
That
he?
part did not work for me at all. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I didn't understand that connection. And then yeah, like the second half, whatever your problems are, I kind of voice those very much. Like they continue, and I think the film kind of gets a bit repetitive almost. Like they try to show every, yeah, again, the whole thing that you have to show everything because no one can
Mm.
understand apparently if they like whatever.
There's
uh
also a lot of dialogues from the first half that you get to, as in, the
Revisit
movie
first, right?
reminds
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, the movie
because
reminds you either through visuals or dialogue.
it's showing you how he killed each person, like literally how he kills each
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
And to be
yeah.
very honest, if you're killing a critic according to how many stars and how they are writing,
How descriptive they have
it's
been about
it's
trashing a film. Yeah,
frankly quite silly. So I
yeah,
thought, like, the premise is silly. So I'm like, if
yeah.
you commit to that silliness, as you said about the
Exactly, exactly.
pulpiness,
The second half, the
I
second half.
understand it more. And there's
Mm,
a moment in which the critic is like, one critic they are interviewing, like, oh, can you
mm.
do you have you seen any films from which some killer might have been inspired like this? You mentioned
So
Seven,
yeah, yeah,
right? And I was like,
yeah,
I have seen a film like this. It's a comedy called Hot Fuzz, where they
yeah.
kill people
Exactly.
descriptively on
Mm,
onto what they say and what they are like. I'm like, firstly,
mm,
watch more movies to the critic, and then I'm like,
mm,
so I just everything kind of ticked me off wrong in terms of filmmaking. So I
mm,
want to get that out of the way first, because I think if the filmmaking worked for me, I would have been
mm,
fine with the overall messaging, which I think is
mm,
just ludicrously boneheaded. Like I just think it's dumb.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
but but I don't think the drama worked for me. And I thought as you're saying about the whole last sequence, right? Uh,
mm.
I thought it was so unconvinced. And this someone also shout out to Hassan, the only person who messaged me saying that everyone is going mad. Why is this? Why are they liking this film? And I agree with
Mm,
him. I was in
mm,
agreement with him. So he
mm.
mentioned that the last scene was so sloppily before. So basically,
The
this is
last
before.
shot.
No, before he throws her out of the window, which
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, so
Mm.
it's like, why is she shouting and shrieking suddenly? Like he was like, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
motivation there, he was like, what is this? Like I don't understand it. Like it's convenience for the sake of it, but it's like
Mm.
not convincing enough still. You
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
you can put these conveniences, they meet very very melodramatically a couple of places, and you
Mm,
buy it I think half of the time because of the music, because the music is their
mm,
connecting force. The Guru Dutt's love, their love for Guru
mm,
Dutt in a way is the connecting force, right? But
mm,
towards the end, I was like, why is she shouting? Like, what is this? Like, I know you need her to go to a certain place, but you need to make it a little bit more convincing for her to
mm,
reach that place, right? So I think
mm,
that so I don't know, like what worked for me, like almost by the so I knew the film didn't work for me when by the end I started getting annoyed by the fact that
mm,
they were again referencing the soundtrack from Piazza or Kagaz Ki Khushboo. I was like,
mm,
I'm now actively annoyed at something that was actively working for me also. So I'm like,
mm.
you've managed to make me annoyed by a soundtrack which I genuinely do really like. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pissed off. So
I'll
I don't get this
genuinely
movie.
tune to the soundtrack for Pyasa right after this.
Oh yeah,
after the
yeah.
film
I've been
ended.
listening to it, and I
And
was
I
like, yeah, I've
yeah,
been listening to it
and I
also.
was in that headspace, while listening to the soundtrack. And I think
Mm,
this film, for its own good,
mm,
and it masquerades too much behind the persona of Gurudutt, behind the
yeah,
artistry of Gurudutt, right? And
yeah.
a lot of times it goes so overboard doing
Mm,
that you just wonder that, is it through its like over the top nature? Is it stepping into the disrespectful territory rather than being
I
respectful?
mean,
And I came home and
mm,
I opened Letterbox to see what
mm,
people were saying about it, because as I said,
mm,
I logged this movie 3.5 out of 5.
yeah,
But I wrote this on the very opening day on my story itself on
yeah,
Instagram, that from its quality,
yeah.
filmmaking point of view wise, this movie is either a 2.5 or a 3, max
Mm,
a 3 for me.
mm,
But given the headspace that I watched this movie
yeah,
in, early morning on a very busy week,
yeah.
and I was already working on a piece. So
Mm,
Netflix recently, again, thoda off tangent jayega, but I
mm,
think it's important to lay out the context.
yeah.
Basically, Netflix is going to make some changes in its binge watching model and all, right?
Mm,
So incidentally, I've been working on a piece where I note down reasons why why the binge watching model is detrimental, and why it
mm,
is against the artistic spirit itself.
mm,
And in that piece, in that think piece or essay, whatever you want to
mm,
call it, I have dedicated an entire paragraph to the devaluation of film criticism in the society lately.
mm,
Okay, so I've
yeah.
written in depth about how film critics are uh, devalued as being merely as being the taste makers of cinema, right?
Reviewers, right? You put in quote
Reviewers,
reviewers.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I go a little bit about in the same. I hit the similar point, hopefully, that the film was trying to make. Key respectful film criticism is always constructive criticism is always uh, preferred, right? But
yeah.
what we see lately in showbiz and all is that people are constantly trying to make these headlines. They're constantly
Mm,
reducing a film or a artist's
yeah,
work or many artists' work to they turn it into a jargon, right?
yeah.
They turn it into a punchline. They want to wordplay. I mean, even randomly while talking about films, we often use puns in our episodes ourselves, right? But it's
Uh,
always coming out of a place of respect, and I hopefully, I mean, that's for
I
our
mean,
listeners to decide.
we so basically before I was just gonna add this that Sanjeet and me
Mm,
especially, both of us are people who try to not discuss films which we don't like.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so recently Brahmastra, I you know how much I was apprehensive
Mm,
myself on just discussing it because I was like I have nothing to say which is like productive even.
yeah.
So but we did that episode's done well, so thank you guys. You like us rambling
Mm.
and ranting. And No, and then this film I think is fascinating just because this is one of
The
those. I'm
timing
not.
of it. The
Yeah,
timing
and
of it.
I'm also not going to say it's a fascinating failure because I don't think it's that. There are other films which are
Mm,
that. I
mm,
think this is fascinating just because it's about a topic which is fascinating to us. And
exactly.
and I think we had divergent opinions, so I thought it's always good to have conflicting
Contrary
opinions
opinions. Yeah.
who can chime in on stuff. So apart from these
Definitely.
two, I can't recall the last time where we've literally just done an episode to bash on a film or whatever. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's no joy in it to me. Also, it's easy. I think a lot
Exactly.
of times.
Yeah. And
So
it's very temporary
yeah,
satisfaction. It's the serotonin that you get, it's like momentarily. Oh, एक
yeah,
दो
yeah,
likes ज़्यादा आ जाएंगे, एक दो
yeah.
recommendations
But
ज़्यादा आ जाएंगे. But
yeah,
then what? You're
no,
not
no,
being
it's not.
true to.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, and it's also not. I personally think as film criticism goes, it's not a good practice. Also, it's
Mm-hmm.
much harder to write about films you like because you have to pass
Exactly.
through whatever you think about them, and
Yeah.
everything. So
You have to let
yeah,
the theme soak in and all. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, what I've now done is made us. I'm defending ourselves against any criticism that comes our way for bashing on this film, basically.
Mm.
But no, I it's so weird. Like, I mean, I want this film to be. It's been a very weird year where I find myself not liking a lot of films. I think this has been like after a long time.
Hmm.
I feel I'm
Even more than last year, which was like
I feel
also
I'm very
that's a
grumpy, or I
similar.
don't know what's happened. Maybe one switch has blown open in my head, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this is right to criticize films. Like, no, but I don't know. Like, I
Hmm.
hope my criticism comes out of a place which is justified. Like, I don't want to just bash onto a film because for the sake of it. There's no like,
For the sake of it, yeah.
exactly. So no, but
And
no,
you know, even a lot of problems that you bring up, that some of the scenes with the sub inspector, the subplot of the
yeah,
another inspector resorting to these weird, awkward lines and
yeah.
exposition and all, and especially the Amitabh Bachchan cameo.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
I genuinely think this movie underwent through some extensive reshoots because
I was
at
told
some
this.
point, oh, it
No,
went.
no, I was told this by someone else who also didn't like it. He was like
Okay,
100%
it
that
was
shot
clear.
that scene is a reshoot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Even some of the interrogative scenes, right, between the words sub police station wala wo sab, I'm
yeah,
so sure those were reshoots because
mm,
it was clear the movie was trying to do two things at once, not just in terms of its preachy storytelling, कि नहीं,
mm,
critics are bad, but respectful critics who, I mean, and even though it did work for me because the movie does make a fair case by having these audience characters who almost echo, like by having that one critic, by making him an exception, that they actually interview him, we get to see some thoughts of why he thinks that he should continue writing and pursuing,
mm,
uh, speaking out his thoughts about film, right? So there's a lot of interesting character traits and uh,
mm.
little underlying tones that this movie has, which I loved. And
Okay.
genuinely, I just want to see a spin-off on this character of Neela, because
Yeah,
the character Dilla, I just
her character is
tuned out of
probably
the
the
second
most
half.
interesting.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially the dilemma that the screenplay that the movie throws her into of, oh,
Mm.
I could genuinely see through Shreya. I don't know how to pronounce her last
Dhanvantri,
name.
I think.
Dhanvantri. I could legit sense the amazement and the awe from
Yeah.
her character, from her acting, where
Mm,
she struggles, where she's thrown into this dilemma that she always wanted to be this film critic, which the movie
mm,
set up very organically. Again, I
mm,
feel that scene was amazing. The
mm.
entire scene of them laying out the dynamics of where the three of them are sitting, both the couple and her mother, right, Neela's
Yes.
mother.
Oh, yeah. The
And
mother's character is very, I think, endearing.
yeah,
That
yeah,
character.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way they set up that scene, the entire scene where they're just having chai, idli, and all,
Mm,
while sitting at the balcony or whatever,
mm,
in the living room, and well, that entire scene, they set up these things, and in the latter half, they throw her into this dilemma: ki, oh, now you can be a certified, a published film critic,
mm.
but you have to write a fake review.
Yeah.
And that entire scene where she just gets overwhelmed in the backseat, where she genuinely loved the film,
Yeah.
but she's told that no, you have to trash it.
Yeah.
It makes for such a good dilemma, especially being a, I mean, especially
Yeah.
being a
Even.
film lover who writes
Yeah.
about films like
Yeah.
myself, right?
Mm.
That was the part where I was like, oh my god,
I
I
mean,
don't care how.
it
I
also
was disappointed how
plays
they.
into the whole censorship and what how society
Oh yeah,
today is and everything, like self
exactly.
censorship
That's
and
the
all that.
thing.
Those things are very interesting.
And
Yeah.
the one thing that I was really glad that the film, it tried to do it, and it was thoda annoying where it cuts to politics and some of the political statement
Mm.
where this politician is, you see this politician sitting in the car कि अरे इसमें आ जाना चाहिए, इसमें बहुत
हाँ, politics
scope
में आना
है.
चाहिए or something, right? Yeah.
That was like too in the face, but there's also a lot of, not a lot, but there's some subtle nuances to that, right? Even
Mm.
in the film's first half, कि
Mm.
बेटी बचाओ और गाय बचाओ ये सब की
हाँ, हाँ,
तरह
हाँ,
ये
हाँ.
सब भी, I think those things kind of worked, and even
Mm.
overlying, as you said, unless the film goes overboard and feels the need of dumbing down upon the audience and the critics,
Yeah.
both on both likewise, right?
Yeah.
But I think the parts where it's being restrained, it's where it's
Mm.
restraining itself from these themes. I think those parts work brilliantly
Mm.
because I already was thinking about these things. Ki, oh
Yeah.
my god, this is like a, there's multiple layers to this. Like a killer. even on paper, that's the thing that intrigued me the most about watching this film, that there's a serial psychopathic killer out there
Hmm.
who's who's going out there killing critics.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
such a fascinating,
it's a
it
very good
seems like an
hook.
Iranian film, right? And then we talked about, I didn't even know that day that Amartya was talking about this Iranian film.
Pig.
I connected the
That's
dots
on
later and I
filmmakers, I
was like,
think.
oh my,
Yeah.
yeah,
Pig,
what,
it's
but
called, right? Yeah,
it's
yeah.
playing
Yeah.
around, it's playing around the same themes, right? And I genuinely was thinking about all those things in the first half. That's why maybe I love the first half, to be
I
very
mean,
honest.
listen,
But
you are in the majority. I am in the minority. So a lot of people really
but
like the film.
even in terms of filmmaking, I get what you're saying, because as I said, even the, especially the Pooja Beni's character,
Yeah.
all those little choices, not little, sorry, wrong.
They're pretty big
Yeah,
choices.
yeah, all those choices, they just seem to take the movie in this
I mean, this is very
entirely different
so
opposite.
it's not even so maybe that's what why I'm annoyed is because I know it's not even surprising. This happens
Hmm.
with almost all Balki films.
His films, yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never so there's always they kind of crash after a point. It's like they have this idea and they just don't know how to
Hmm.
take them to like their natural
Hmm.
conclusion almost. It's like they're overstuffed and over explained and over I don't know. There's an overabundance of stuff which doesn't
Hmm.
feel organic, I think, a lot of times in his work. And I
Hmm.
yeah, that let's get to that Amitabh Bachchan cameo. Yeah, so this has happened before. He's done this. Like Amitabh Bachchan appears in all his films because they're
Yeah,
friends, I suppose. But
yeah.
find a way to put him in better. Like, or see I watched Pearl recently, right? That Ty West film, which is like the odd comparison, I know,
Hmm.
but like Pearl by, and it has one of those scenes which I watch and I'm like, if you take that scene out of this film and
Hmm.
make it its own thing, it
Hmm.
will say everything that
Hmm.
the film says. And I'm like, so what to do you just, if you want to lecture the audience, right?
Hmm.
And this film is, that's the most annoying thing about this film.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
And my point is, if you are wanting to lecture
Hmm.
them with good, well
Hmm.
balanced points and lecture
Hmm.
them in a way so that I, who knows
Hmm.
a little bit about cinema, can't look through your narrative construction and see
Yeah,
how contradictory some of these things that you are saying
exactly.
are.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I can see them, anyone who's educated about cinema will be able to pick through this and be annoyed like hell. It's firstly, okay, there's so much. So we have basically transitioned into talking about the film's message and all
Theme.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Filmmaking wise, we've kind of established that you liked it more than I did, and
Hmm.
my major problem is that if the quotation marks around your film are better than the film,
Hmm. Hmm.
problem. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, so the message. I don't understand. Does this film think film criticism is criticizing a film? I think one of the definitions of the film sometimes is like, it takes it too literally almost. It's like,
Hmm.
when film criticism is not criticizing a film, it's a lot of other things also.
Exactly.
But I
Yeah.
feel sometimes it, equates those. Like in the beginning, it's like, oh, they're criticism. So that's like critiquing. Like it
Hmm.
also means to appreciate. It's both those
Hmm.
things, firstly. So that's fine. Then you have that Amitabh Bachchan character who comes out and
Hmm.
basically blurts out the message of the film, which is
Hmm.
fine.
Hmm.
Okay, you do it you're a because your script is lazy, to be very honest, like, and you don't have the conviction
Hmm.
that other parts of your script are being able to communicate that. So you're
Hmm.
like, critics are necessary if they are good. Is that it? No, if they're
Hmm.
honest and they can right. So basically, they're going for like
If they
constructive
are not
criticism.
crashing down the artist
Ethical,
and yeah.
constructive criticism
Hmm.
is good.
Hmm.
What does who makes the criticism ethical? How do you know someone is ethical? Why is Woody Allen innocent?
Oh yeah, that is, yeah, that is,
I
I
There are
don't know if
so
that was
many
supposed to be a nod or
contradictions. I
the
mean,
only
it's in
thing,
Shreya
the only
Dhanvanteri's house. She's supposed
contradiction.
to be the good person. I'm guessing it's supposed to be a genuine comment. And I was like, I don't
Yeah,
understand this. If he's supposed
yeah,
to be,
yeah.
see,
I think
did you
it's
see the
as,
interview of? I have not seen it. Balki's
I've not
interview with.
seen anything.
So I've particularly refrained so that I don't bring in any
Film
baggage.
companion or
No, no,
Gulada Bliss, which
with
one?
Bharat Bharadwaj Ramgal.
Oh wow, I'll watch it. Okay.
So I didn't do it. I didn't watch it just because I didn't want to bring his sort of whatever baggage he's thrown there
Yeah.
into this,
Mm,
because I have so many questions about this
mm.
Woody Allen, quote unquote, Woody Allen is innocent, and then
I
putting
think it's
his
about separating the artist
art and the
from the
artist,
art. Yeah,
but
I
it's
think.
a warped concept. Firstly, not because I
Yeah,
agree or not, it's
yeah,
different. The film is telling the
yeah.
audience that critics should be ethical in some ways,
Mm.
right?
Oh yeah,
the,
yeah,
the film then critiques the critic for not
yeah,
liking a Guru Dutt film, which is
yeah,
based on his life.
yeah.
And then it uses the history of the person to
To
praise his
masquerade. Yeah,
film.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How can you do those things? Those are contradictory
Mm.
things.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So, what does the
The
critic do then?
only
So,
wait for
he's ethical
getting
when he
murdered. Yeah.
considers the history of the
Mm.
artist when the film is good, but he can't
Mm.
or shouldn't consider his history when he's being blamed. Like, I don't understand this. I'm sorry. This is not a contradiction. It is like I've been reading a
A
book which is all
minor.
about.
Yeah.
No, it's a
Yeah.
no. The book is all about the. I've been reading a book which is all about how contradictions. A lot. The best thing about filmmakers or like best filmmakers are able
Mm.
to bring together contradictory elements together and make them
Mm.
stand out.
Mm.
This isn't that type of contradiction. This is a contradiction where your character is saying
Thematic.
something and
Yeah.
the plot means something else. It's totally
Mm.
different.
You
So,
know, the
Aryan,
only
provide me
contradiction
answers,
that
okay? Because I don't understand this.
the only contradiction that bothered me personally, like instantly, was ki at one point you're implying that critics don't mean anything, it's the audience reception. And then you are resorting to this claim that Gurudat's film failed at the box office and everywhere
Because of
because the
critics,
critics, yeah,
because of
that's
just
the
the critics. That's the other
yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's
He
the thing
didn't have a
that
life beyond, right. I mean, I don't listen. There, you have to consider, if you are
yeah.
making a film which is lecturing the audience about these things,
Mm,
you have to be responsible enough to consider
yeah.
its complexities. I'm sorry, you can't make a
Mm,
pulpy thing, but make it a lecture. Either you
exactly,
check
yeah,
out the
exactly
lecture
my
bits,
problem.
check out the lecture bits, keep the
Mm,
pulpy bits so that it's not annoying you about the fact that,
mm,
this film is trying to be above us almost. It's like, trying
mm.
to teach you about something. But if you're teaching something, teach it by doing good research
Fully,
and
yeah.
not having
Embrace
a
it.
freaking Woody Allen is innocent poster in your background, which is a nonsense. Like, I don't care if he's
Yeah,
innocent or not, but like, you can't
yeah.
be going around making those nonsense
Mm, bold
claims.
claims.
You
Yeah.
can't be claiming those things and then
Mm.
then beating the critics. Oh, and
Then
I'm not
having the
sure, right?
biggest star in your industry talk about it in the
Yeah,
camera
exactly.
itself by breaking the
It's
fourth wall. How?
you.
Yeah.
I honestly
Mm,
think this is one of
mm,
those films which,
mm,
see,
mm,
so as people, and again, it's a good preface that I mentioned that Sanjeet and me don't like talking about films we don't like, because I think
mm,
inherently we,
mm,
or and I think you and Amartya also, like all of us have
mm,
been people who respect the fact that, the artist goes through a lot of things. I
mm,
don't need the artist to be so like, it's like the artist is pleading, I want more respect. I want more
mm.
respect from the critics. I'm
Exactly.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you will get that if you're going to put something out in the real world, right? You're
Mm,
going to have people who are going to critique it in some way
mm,
or the other. And I mentioned this in I wrote something yesterday because I was so annoyed by this whole
mm,
contradictory message this film has. I was like, critics need to have a hook also to get people to
mm,
read their reviews. They can sometimes seem cruel. They can sometimes seem flat, you know,
mm,
in their complexities. Your film is has a hook. Your film
mm,
also needs to have that hook, right? Like, your film has a hook of
mm,
people killing serial killers, right? And
mm,
like you are also flattening those contradiction, like that complexity. You
mm,
have to think about the other people also. This is basically an artist looking at a critic and telling them that, respect us
mm,
almost. And
mm,
it's like, it feels by the end, especially because everyone reappraises his work. Dalki Salman's work is some masterpiece, unless
mm,
this is like a cynical commentary about the world of the worlds where it's like,
Of
uh
how people
like
bury
people
an
will only
artist alive.
repraise.
Yeah.
Like I just think the film,
Posthumously,
yeah,
basically.
I just think the film is too so reverential about
Yeah.
Guru Dutt and that tortured artist that I think
Mm.
it sees this Dalkir Salman character as a Christ-like figure.
Mm.
It is
Yeah, yeah,
reference,
yeah.
right? That is the whole
The
shot.
same imagery. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
it's the same imagery that's
Mm.
in Pyasa, I think.
Mm.
And I was like, no,
Mm.
sorry, no, I don't buy this. I'm not gonna buy it.
Mm.
Critics, I'm not one, and I would want to become one later on, but I know
Mm.
for a
Mm.
fact that critics in India in
Mm.
general firstly have barely any respect, right? Which is fair
Mhm.
enough. Okay, they're not important as such or whatever. The
Mm.
press screening stuff is not
Mm.
as prominent also. I know that a lot of critics have to actually pay on the first or
Mm.
second day to actually watch films, from whatever I
Mm.
know.
Mm.
People can correct me after listening to this episode, hopefully, if I am wrong. And
Mm.
so then you basically treat them as an audience, and an audience should have
Mm.
the right to say anything because they are paying the money, right, to watch your film. And if you're so
Mm.
sensitive about people not liking the film, don't release it.
Mm.
I'm being very, like, I know it sounds harsh, but you can't have
Mm.
everything the tortured artist's way.
Mm.
The tortured artist needs to learn a thing or two also, right? Like it can't just be that criticism and people, everyone just
Mm.
needs to be on their like fire and be like,
Mm.
pleading and all that. Like, I'm like, no, sorry. I mean, you are not being sympathetic towards a lot of other groups of people, and you don't
Mm.
get to ask for that sympathy and lecture us
Mm.
uh, about being rude when
Mm.
your film yourself doesn't have enough complex points to make about the artist
Mm.
and his relationship to the art. It doesn't have
Mm.
that complexity. So I'm like,
Mm.
I anyways don't like your film. I now don't like your
Mm.
film and I'm annoyed about it. So
Mm.
yes.
I think, but the movie, I think the entire thing about separating the art from the artist, the
Hmm.
entire Woody Allen thing, even though I was very off put by it, and
Hmm.
I was even more annoyed when Sunny Deol's character, you see him looking at it as if the
You saw it.
audience did
You saw it
not.
once in the background, and I
Yeah,
was like, I
yeah,
saw it. I saw
twice.
it. I saw
You
it.
see it
Yeah.
twice very
And then
evidently in the first half.
it's almost in the foreground. I'm like,
Yeah.
दिख गया भाई, दिख गया.
खर्चा किया है प्रोडक्शन डिजाइन पे बस डाला है थॉट
भाई
इवन इफ
लेक्चर
इट्स
बना दो ना,
कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी
ये release this as a TED talk, no? Like if that's what's left, get Amitabh
मैं और
Bachchan, get
अमर्त्य
someone
जाता
else,
है
and yeah.
मैं और अमर्त्य जाते हैं एंड इट्स फैसिनेटिंग सी अगेन द वर्ड फैसिनेटिंग कि
Yeah,
अमर्त्य you and I talked about the same thing. We talked about, do film criticism, does it matter, do film critics matter, or
yeah.
like 2 episodes back I guess, just randomly I might,
The
it might
Dobara thing,
not
right?
even be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it might not even be a part of the episode. I guess we just
Yeah.
were talking about it in the conversation leading up to the episode. But I think that the movie makes a fair point by actually making, it's not about what is right and wrong. In
Mm.
a way, I know it is trying to go at a lot of ethical versus unethical, but I guess there's a point to be made in movies defense where there's a reason why the killer, why the psychopathic killer is doing this.
Mm.
So when you see him in the end, where you see the shot of him, the recreational shot of
The
Guru
cry,
Dutt's
yeah,
from
yeah,
Guru Dutt's Prayasa, the
yeah,
crucifixion like imagery, I
yeah.
think it is very much making a statement that the artist was clearly a psychopathic killer who deserves to be jailed and who deserves to die because he
Mm.
clearly did unethical things. But
Mm.
his artistry, the art that he made, okay, the art that he put out, it is now being celebrated just because people are actually looking at it from a place out of respect, right?
Mm.
That's what I guess the movie was going at.
I can
It did not work.
understand that. I can understand
Yeah.
the sentiment there.
So
I
that's
think,
the only
yeah.
explanation I guess from the Woody Allen is innocent thing, plus the ending shot, right? Because we know, we see see the movie would have been very, it wouldn't have worked for me if in the end, if we see ke, oh isko to he did not get jailed or some magical thing
Mm.
happened, a miracle happened and he ran away or
Mm.
whatever, he did not end up get being caught.
Hmm.
That would have then been very problematic, because it's like, oh, film critics are bad, kill everyone and go against, make your own opinion and whatever.
Yeah.
But then again, the actual contradictory thing, this
Yeah.
again does not bother me. As I said earlier, the ending
Yeah.
worked very well for me,
Yeah.
and it still does. I'm actually
Yeah.
planning, my dad wanted to watch this movie, and
Yeah.
I might rewatch it with him soon as once it comes out on OTT, and I don't mind rewatching it, to be very honest. But the actual contradictory stupid thing is
Hmm.
that the entire part where I was already convinced, as I said, I would
Hmm.
again come back to the same subplot where you
Hmm.
see that dilemma in Neela's character, ki, oh, she wanted to be a film critic. And again, the movie is very much making a, that's what I'm saying, the real
Hmm.
world statement that the movie is making in its
Hmm.
first half work brilliantly for me,
Hmm.
because you again in that scene you get to see ki feeling she's not feeling content with her life, because she's made to go through this
No gossip
extensive
stuff.
write-ups, yeah, the
Uh,
showbiz culture
Showbiz. Yeah.
thing. So
Hmm.
you get to see that how toxic the environment is, and how
Hmm.
there's disproportionate males in the industry, which I don't think is the case. But whatever, if the movie is making a point with that, then I don't
The movie is
agree,
clearly
even
very
though,
well researched, Aryan. Yeah, it makes
oh
very
yeah, then
solid foundational, like it lays the foundation on film criticism very, very well. Because because
but
because
yeah, again.
all the critics were the only reason why Kagas Ke Phool and why Guru Dutt never made a movie again. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get to see that she's growing very tired of her job and just doing whatever the media asks her to do, by कि क्या कपड़े किसने आज के पहने, what is this actor or this actress wearing to this
Yeah.
concert or
Yeah. Yeah.
premiere or whatever. And you get that reflection ki, oh, she wants to write about films, that's what she's always loved, she likes films. So I think it is making a case against film critics, and it actually means it actually is coming out of some respect, because you see those desires,
Hmm.
because the movie sets this up ki film critics are themselves lovers of films first, which is the case, right? Film critics are doing what they do because they are lovers of films, they love the medium,
Yeah.
and you get that through her character. And that's why it was so disappointing when they set up that dilemma, they set up
Hmm.
the character and just throw it right away.
Yeah.
And the thing that actually bothered me was when, oh, ये तो मंगोलियन मूवी का रीमेक है, this is why you critics are so dumb, आपको कोई knowledge नहीं है. The entire point of movies is that they are subjective.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the thing, ki film critic can be
See,
anyone,
no, but
or
see, Aryan, you're
the
saying all
audience.
this, but
That's the
I
thing
think
that bothered me.
no, no, but I think these things can. I mean, if
Hmm.
I don't know, Balki and Raja Sen are not going to come and talk to us, but if we throw these at them, they'll be like, these are coming from the psychopath's mouth, right? They don't have any validity
Hmm.
in that sense, which is
Yeah.
fine. Okay, I'll take that. But then,
Hmm.
what is this? So okay, so the weird thing is then the tortured artist. That's the other weird thing. I'm like, what are
Hmm.
you trying to posit? Like the tortured artist will always make good. I was actually hoping the film would have his film be a pile of trash. Uh,
Hmm.
Sebastian Gomes's film, I thought would not actually be a good. So the weird thing is, it's like tortured. If you're tortured, you will
Hmm.
make good art. It's almost like that. I'm like,
Hmm. It is very
but
generalized
no,
as
but
the
no,
simplest.
but
Yeah.
you can be tortured and still make bad art. What about that?
But it is going for Freudian theme, ना मतलब थोड़ा तो convenient plot बन रहा
कन्वीनियंस
है.
पूरे पिक्चर में कन्वीनियंस ही है ना तो हम जब
50s Bollywood.
shit,
Okay,
no, no,
sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to take that. Not taking that as an excuse. This year's been very like Freudian like this actually.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. कह
there
रहे यहाँ से
we are
start
going to be
हुआ.
we are going to be. Oh, Jesus Christ, never mind. Uh, Another of our favorite. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Ari, you weren't there na, for that episode. बच
Yeah,
गए
yeah, I
you
was
तो
there.
hated it more. I mean I actually maybe
I तो
same levels.
hated it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I hated
No,
it.
there'll be
Same
films we'll be
levels.
discussing soon which will have Freud
Hmm.
multiplied by thousand almost. Actually,
Name one. कौन
I'm
सा?
not going to because you've not watched it.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Oh, I get it.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
But
anyways.
yes,
Hmm.
that's going to recur in that sense. Anyways,
Hmm.
should
And
we?
I
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. I was saying ki after I came back home listening to the I guess one of the best soundtracks in Hindi cinema. Listening to
Yeah.
Pyasa soundtrack on loop, I
Which
came back
songs did you
home.
listen to? Let's try and end on something
The
positive.
entire soundtrack, man, the entire
Okay.
soundtrack I listened to that day because I had to travel a lot quite
Okay.
actually that day, and I was very see. Maybe I genuinely think a lot of people, including myself, loved this film. I did not again. I'm talking about the general audience. I like this film. I
You
still
can
like
like
this
it.
film.
I'm not going to come and kill
But
you. I'm the one who's in danger now.
but I genuinely think a lot of people seem to like or love this film because it very manipulatively tries to conflate the again, as I said, it's masquerading behind the timeless persona and the legend of
Yeah.
Guru Dutt.
No, I
And
get
it
why
is
people
very
like it.
successful in doing that. It
I
is very successful and
I
cheeky
mean
in doing that.
it's I don't not a fan of nostalgia. We've discussed this
Mhm.
before. So
And
especially
I
this
came
type of
home.
easy nostalgia.
This
I'm
a
like,
cheap
I
nostalgia.
get it.
Yeah,
I
I
get
get
it.
it.
Like
Hmm.
and I really so my feeling while watching it was I really want to go back and watch Kagas Ke Phul now.
Same, same.
But that's not a positive for
Now
me.
it's ruined. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's not ruined. I think, to be
yeah.
very honest,
I
the film doesn't
think
ruin
no
this
film
film.
can. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The
No film
soundtracks are
can
just the
do that.
soundtrack for both Pyasa and this are just like so good that they have the ability to
Exactly. Yeah.
elevate. I
Any
again,
piece, any mediocre
I
piece
think,
of
I
sound.
mean, to be honest, two good things that can actually come from this film. I'm
Mm,
sure there's others also. People will. For someone who didn't like
mm,
the film, two good things.
mm,
Hopefully, someone who's not aware of Guru Dutt will watch more Guru Dutt
mm.
films.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two, hopefully it will give filmmakers the idea to now take soundtracks from older films, make instrumental
Mm,
versions, put them in their films so that I don't have to bear more generic nonsense background scores, because
mm,
at least this has that going for it,
yeah.
which which is more than what can be said for the film I watched before this Hindi film.
You now you have all the reason in
I'm
the world to
traumatized,
not
boss.
go to the
I think
theater.
I'm traumatized. AMC has ruined my year.
Oh God! Again, this was CMC.
Yeah, this is different cinema though. So it's
Oh,
not
okay.
even different like theater. So whatever.
Hmm.
I
I
can't
need an
even blame just the
explanation.
theater.
I just need an explanation of how the entire spatial arrangement of throwing off a body from the
Yeah,
building
I
and
want to know that.
yeah, I
I'm
want to know
planning to
that.
that myself. I'm gonna, so I'll
Yeah.
see how to trajectory and all
I
that.
think, do you think even that was reshoot where they show Sunny Deol actually
They
jump
have like
off the
they,
window?
that was the weirdest scene. I was like, what is he doing? And why is he going full 90s or whatever classic Sunny Deol? I was like,
Yeah,
he was
suddenly.
so restrained throughout. I was
Yeah,
surprised
yeah.
almost. I was like, that much
So
restraint you're giving
restrained
him.
that he actually tried to tuck his belly.
Well, it's
And
fine. It's
again,
allowed.
I was saying, I came home, I came home, and what about the Pooja Bidi character, by the way? I want to know your.
No thoughts. Apparently, I even missed some of the someone Hassan only, like the guy who messaged me. Two mentions he's gotten. He
Hmm.
said that there was some fat shaming dialogue that she says.
हाँ
I
yeah,
forgot only what this was.
yeah
Uh,
कि कोई औरत ये नहीं करेगी. Look
there
at
was the
his
whole
body.
whatever.
So,
All this. So she's your Freudian whatever psychoanalyst, no? So like I mean your whatever
yeah.
she's doing
No, I think
currently.
the more evident Freudian thing is Balki himself writing the screenplay and being like, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker, and look what the society is doing."
So that's what you wrote in your plot, right? Your
Yeah,
plot,
yeah.
I'm saying, sorry, post. You wrote
Pose.
that I've lost
Mm.
words. You wrote in your post that
Mm.
this will be better than that cheap foreign film remake slapstick.
And your
And
comment, yeah.
I was like, I wouldn't mind watching that. I'm not a fan of films which take themselves so seriously and then don't work
Mm.
for me. Then it's more annoying.
Yeah.
Whereas those films are just like I can't believe I'm saying this, but I might
Mm.
prefer the other film that asks for ratings more,
Mm.
like Villain Returns.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. There's someone legit told me he also watched Chup, and I forgot to ask
yeah,
him whether what his thoughts on the film were
yeah,
on Chup. But he told me that he watched Attack, the
yeah.
John Abraham
Johnny
wala,
Abraham.
and yeah, he watched it with his friends, with a couple
Yeah.
of friends of his, and they started watching it by thinking, "कि अरे चलो मजा आएगा, we'll crash onto this film
Hmm.
and we'll have fun, we'll
Hmm.
make fun of this movie, laugh at the film and all." And they actually thought that the movie was not bad, like genuinely, the
देखना
action
पड़ेगा.
standards and all. And I'm like, and he told me that it is
नहीं नहीं,
actually
एक
the
विलन
best
एक विलन
best
returns is
Hindi
bad,
film.
huh?
Yeah, yeah, I know. But
Yeah,
he
like I don't
legit
want to
told me
praise
that
it.
it is this Attack
Okay,
film
what?
is better than a lot
Even
of
Amartya
Hindi
liked
film.
it, but then Amartya
Oh,
likes
he did.
weird stuff. Yeah, so like
Look at the face. Now, so I am also in the gang, I guess.
no, no, Chup is fine. I understand why you like it. I can even understand why Sanjeet will watch it and like it. He to loves nostalgia as a free fund mein.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but no, I understand all that. He liked Gehraiyaan also, don't know Amartya.
Okay, right. Amartya liked, I
Amartya,
know.
huh, so like, of
Sanjeev
course.
did not like, na.
No, we are in that same
I'm guessing Amartya just likes Freudian concepts and
Freudian concepts executed badly.
I guess.
Then do you like blonde also? Sorry. Uh,
Oh God, now I know. Yeah. Let's see. अभी
uh,
आगे होगा. It's 12.
it must be
देखते
out.
हैं 3 घंटे
Fun.
बैठ के.
NC-17 entertainment.
NC-17. Yeah.
Why? That's another thing we'll discuss. Why is it NC-17?
You don't feel it deserved this.
I don't understand why it got it. Like I've
होंगे
seen
कुछ
films which are more
reasons.
violent, or at
अच्छा.
least effect. Yeah, like have you seen Mother by Darren Aronofsky?
Yeah, I've seen.
I thought that was more violent, almost.
That was an NC-17.
R. It was R. Maybe it's because this is
Oh.
based on Marilyn Monroe, so it's more
हाँ, I
like
guess there might be other reasons कि थोड़ा
yeah.
explicitity or
There is one
graphics and
scene I
violence.
suppose where it could be, but that is also one of the
Hmm.
worst scenes I've seen in recent memory. So,
Oh
uh,
damn.
yeah. And I've seen
I'll
a lot
watch
of bad
Attack.
things. I've seen a lot of bad things this year apparently.
You were just
Uh,
talking in Brahmastra episode how you don't give ratings below 2 or
yeah,
1.5 or
exactly.
one, and you,
It's two. Yeah, yeah. 1.5
and
is.
now
I look that
there have been two.
the only
Hmm.
reason I gave this below that is because I was annoyed. It's probably not a
Yeah,
1.5. It's like a two probably,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
just
So
annoyed.
to see, we like it all.
Of course, only point 0.5.
Really not
You were in a
justifying, but
generous
yeah,
mode, and I was not in a
yeah,
generous
yeah.
mode. Of course.
No, but genuinely the theme it clicked for me because I legit copy pasted the same paragraph from the
Hmm.
devaluation of critics wala from my Netflix thing to
Yeah.
writing the
Oh
review for
wow.
this film. I was like this very convenient.
So yeah, so
कि
you
like,
basically liked it because it made your assignment easier for high on film and like
if
Instagram.
that's something. And again,
I
as
can
I was
justify.
saying,
No, that's how you liked it. So
yeah, thank God.
yeah.
So I came home and I opened Letterbox and I searched Chup and
Yeah.
I see Gurudat in the poster. Like,
The poster is
I'm not
really
even
good,
kidding.
by the way.
But no, I'm not even kidding. I saw Gurudat and I was like, oh, ये fan made movie का कुछ आया है. I genuinely thought कि ये कोई
Really,
fan made movie का कुछ. I'm not
you
kidding.
don't like the
And then
poster?
I
I thought the
saw.
poster was very
नहीं
innovative.
नहीं नहीं सुन बाद में
Yeah.
I saw कि ये ओ चुप का ही है बाल्गी and then I realized this actually makes sense. I only wish the film was just self-aware.
Hmm.
It is literally under the shadows of Guru Dutt. So embrace
Do you
that.
think it's
Don't try
not?
to be.
Like, is it?
I think
It
it
uses it too
masquerades. I've
much.
written this. Yeah,
Uses it
I've
too
written
much.
this in my
Hmm.
plot that I guess वो scene देखने के बाद इतने traumatized हो गए ना कि plot ही याद आ रहा है अब. Like,
I mean, I thought was it
empty plot.
and can I genuine request? I know they're not gonna hear it, but please lay off this editing speed. Like I know people don't have attention spans, but like, can you
Mm-hmm.
please? I request. I genuinely request. And the
अरे
request
I
is to
तो
all
love
filmmakers. I think you
the
to like
second half
everything
ना.
everywhere all at once. More right in the cinema.
Yeah, second half
Yeah,
I like. Second time I
the
like
second time you
more.
like more. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It worked for me, man. मतलब, I would
I mean,
still
I
rate it the
liked it.
same way,
I
but
liked it, but
yeah.
like yeah. No, but that editing speed is still fine. Yeah, I don't know. Like
That
sometimes it just
editing
makes
speed,
sense.
it is constantly वो उसमें, right? And it
इसमें तो it's like
builds,
एक scene के अंदर they're doing 5 shots from like
yeah,
one person standing, then next person, like it's not even like energy bouncing energy.
that's
Interesting.
the thing.
Never mind. Uh, never mind.
Yeah.
I think we've deliberated on this film quite a bit, which I think is a I
Hmm.
I'll give credit to the film. Like at least it has like the materials to have like again I didn't feel after coming out of this that I don't know what I'm going to say. Like I know
Again, I
I keep on
genuinely
referencing
think,
to Brahmastra, but like yeah, I mean what do I do? That's the lowest bar
yeah, yeah.
for me. Yeah.
I genuinely think someone might, or at least should take the same plot on paper of the serial psychopathic serial killer being out there, going
Anurag
out to
Kashyap.
kill critics, and make a better film, perhaps 5, 7 years in the future, where things become even more difficult.
Anurag
Ideas,
Kashyap, perfect Historical.
yeah,
Like he literally is the he
exactly, yeah,
cast himself
yeah,
as the
yeah.
killer. AK versus AK is a
Yeah, and there
sequel
would
in
be
some
like
way.
a poster. There would be a poster in the background, ऊपर दीवार पे of
Have you
Bombay
s-
Velvet.
have you seen films? Oh God, please no. Oh God, no. No, no,
Mm.
but have you seen films which have film critics and criticism? I mean, I really like Birdman, and it's very critical about critics. This
Which? Birdman? Oh,
Birdman,
Birdman!
the
I
Alejandro
love Birdman. Yeah,
Gonzalez
Inarritu. Yeah,
Inarritu. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And the other
I
person who
love
I know who
Birdman.
cares about critics and actually makes very good films about them is Charlie Kaufman. He's obsessed with
Charlie
critics somehow.
Kaufman. Which one? Which
Uh,
one was about?
this I'm thinking of ending things. He's not like
Is it about?
obsessively making about a critic, but
Yeah, yeah.
it is
That's
about
how
it
it
has
should be.
no no it has elements of how criticism is also like a disease,
Mm.
but it's like all about sort of media as a disease. So like I
Mm.
guess he's written a book which is entirely about criticism. I've not read it. It's called
Oh
Ant.
wow.
Yeah, it the main
ये
character
ऑडियो बुक
in
है
it
क्या
is
अवेलेबल?
I'll look for it, but the main character is Richard Brody in the book,
Oh, of
like a
course.
stand-in for that.
चलो,
So
already intrigued.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he's not like any Charlie Kaufman movie, so it's basically like supposed to be
Oh wow.
I don't know, like it's very
Now I hate
fascinating
him
thing.
even more. Yeah.
Hmm.
He's probably too busy being reading some leftist books, I guess.
He's a Godard fan, of course he is.
Yeah.
No, no, but no, this criticism thing is very interesting to me when writers are interested in critics, because a lot of times
Hmm.
it's like a it's like a I don't read anything.
Self-reflexive
Yeah,
thing,
it's
I
a very
guess.
interesting topic.
Hmm.
I think he was about to make a film. I think Kaufman on critics, like deliberately on a critic character. That film got shelved because of whatever
Hmm.
financial issues after Cinectech in New York, which tanked and all that. But
Hmm.
we'll do a Charlie Kaufman episode sometimes,
I
considering how much of a
love.
fan
I'm
I am.
thinking of
I'm
ending
a I'm
things. I
a
love it.
I'm a big Kaufman fan, so
Same,
uh,
same, same.
yeah. And I think I'm thinking of ending things is super divisive. I really like it
Do
also,
you
so
like it?
yeah,
I
I
love
really like
it.
it.
I
I
openly
really
love
like it.
it.
I've watched it
Hmm.
2 3 times, which is unhealthy, I think. So
I watched it twice. Yeah. I have to
yeah,
watch it. Rewatch
I don't want to be more hopeless in life. I think Kaufman had
it.
that effect. Yeah. Anyways, those are
Triangle of
our.
Sadness देख लेना.
That's I'm not a okay, whatever.
Yeah.
No, no, we've talked a lot about. I think those are alternative recommendations, by the way. If anyone's interested,
Hmm.
I know. I'm thinking of ending things is not about criticism or critics, but like it has
Hmm.
elements of it. I think and media dissection and whatever how media affects or infects, in fact, uh,
Hmm.
us as viewers and how life is
Hmm.
miserable, basically. Anyways,
Hmm.
Chup has that effect on you also. I would say. Uh, but
Hmm.
thank you so much for listening. I think this was a great episode. But like I think most of our episodes are very good. So you can tell us if it was any good, if I was annoying and I was rude about the film, and if I need to be wary about my surroundings and if people are going to come and kill me. Uh,
Maybe I need to cancel my tickets for Mumbai for next week. Yeah.
Probably. I mean, you
Mumbai
are
is not
safe. I think no. 3.5 तो दिया.
where. हाँ, right. फिर
हाँ,
भी.
एग्जैक्टली वरना आई वाज लिसनिंग टू क्या था जाने वो कैसे जाने वो कैसे लोग थे जिनको एंड इट हैज अ लाइन
हाँ,
कॉल्ड
right.
हमने तो सिर्फ कलियां मांगी कांटों का हार मिला आई वाज लाइक आई बेटर नॉट राइट दैट बिकॉज़ देन आई नो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी माय फेट Right.
Oh God.
But that was my sentiment after watching the film.
Someone should
Definitely.
write it in the review as
Exactly. So
better death than the pitch wala, cricket pitch, whatever.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much for listening. We have you can follow Aryan on Aryan Talks Film. He's written recently about Chup itself, and then he has a lot of stuff planned, which he told me he's planned for a lot of times, but has not published yet. So look forward to whatever other stuff he's going to. Please, you can follow me at Terminal Seminar, Seminar Cinema, uh, Terminal Cinema on Instagram if you want, and. Queen is Dead is kind of dead as an Instagram handle, I feel. But please like, share, subscribe on Spotify. Tell us what you want us to discuss, what you think is good about our discussions, everything. And thank you. We'll be back very soon with similar contemporary reviews about stuff that is releasing. And khatam.